Is there any consideration for Kevin after yesterday's game?
Well, what'd you think? How do you think he coached yesterday? Because you said you didn't like that, it's not like their backs were against the wall and they punted the ball in a situation that you didn't like, and then they settled for the field goal down there. And the way he managed the game, which they won. So, by the outcome, you'd say he managed the game.
I thought they actually managed Shedeur pretty good, but pretty well. But I didn't. Yeah, there was plenty of things that I can't take back in real time. I was not thrilled about. But
clearly, the scripted plays, that's where they got their points. Took advantage of the opportunities early.
Now, this might be results based, but my basis is I wanted to go for it on fourth down in a foot at my own 30. Why did I want to do that? Because we were a 3-win team.
Yeah.
Is that a reason to act irresponsibly?
In real life.
Is that a reason to act irresponsibly? Like, maybe. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe that right there is the microcosm of why at the end of the Bengals game they'll probably move on, it seems. But I got to ask anybody, the more you win, the better you play. I do think there is I think a lot of people have set sail on it and they might roll their eyes going, oh, come on. Hey, this team, this ownership does not like to make a change, does not want to make a change. They are doing their damnedest. I mean, you look at some of the things that they've done and people get mad at that. Well, we're too involved. You haven't moved. You kept Paul DePodesta way longer than any of us wanted to keep him until he left. You've held on. People thought Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski should have been gone last year. They won 3 games last year. They'll win 4 games this year. They beat Cincinnati. They win 5 games. If they end up 5-12.
Well, if Burrow plays and they beat him. Him and Jamar Chase plays and they beat him. Aaron Rodgers played and they beat him. And that was a team that was about ready to wear the crown in the AFC North again. The question has to be asked. Kevin, could he save his job here in these final 2 weeks of the season, Tone? I think that with this team, there's a distinct possibility. Now, I think that if you were already considering it, I really think it should be the same way. I don't think you should go back on just 2 games and make that decision there. I've said so many times, I'm not going to fire this and the other. I don't think you should fire anybody based on anger. But I think if you've already made that decision earlier this year that, this is going to end at the end of the year, you probably stick to that decision. I think that's very college basketball to go back on a decision in the final 2 games of the year. If you had more time, say they would have won 6 in a row at the end of the year and vied for the playoffs, well, then obviously things change. Guys save their jobs that way. Infamous Mangini end of the year.
There was the Mangini 4 straight, but you remember Jim Fossil, I brought that up numerous times here over the last few weeks. He was up against it. Then he put the push into the center of the table. This team's going to the playoffs and ended up going to the Super Bowl. Guys do save their jobs, but are the final 2 weeks of the season worth it for all of next year? Because you're not only dedicating it to him for the rest of the year, you're also probably putting the relationship together with he and Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of decisions there.
Look, I do think there is a world that we live in where, and I think it's kind of insane, but a world we live in where they bring back Stefanski, they make Shedeur the starting quarterback, no real competition, and next year they start out 1-5, and we're like, well, that was silly. I do think there is a world we live in where we're all like, why didn't we just trust our gut on a lot of this stuff?
Not only do I think that's a world we live in, I think that's maybe the most realistic one.
Well, think about it.
Of what we could actually live through, I think that's the more realistic one.
And there's no doubt, the Browns, no matter what they do in the draft, the Browns win total going into next year, when we do when Vegas throws it all out there, I think they're going to be at the bottom. I think they'll be 4.5 wins, and they'll be close to the bottom. And so nobody is going to have real expectations the Browns are going to be good next year, regardless, by the way, of who their coach is and who their quarterback is. I think they're going to be towards the bottom, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Mendoza, whether it's Moore, whether it's Mac Jones, whether it's Malik Willis. I think they'll probably be picked to be one of the worst teams in football to start the season next year.
When I said to you after, was it the Bears game or the Tennessee game? I think it might have been the Bears game. When I said to you after the Bears game, I have no more defense. I don't like calling for jobs, but I also have no more defense of the job. I think that tells you what decision I think that they were going to make and what decision probably needs to be made. a separation for everybody. Again, I don't know if Kevin really even wants to be here. And so if I'm going to dedicate another entire year to this...
He looked pretty fired up yesterday, I got to say.
I think you're always happy to win.
Yeah, but
I think that in real time, I mean, again, why are the stories keep getting out there? Why are there always stories out there?
But it's amazing in this league how a few weeks can change everything. Think about how the fans, and I was here in the postgame on our station, I went some other places too, on some podcasts, just the temperature. It's just the level of optimism going into the offseason. It's amazing how the NFL affords you, after this disastrous, horrible year, where when we open up the phone lines every week, fire everybody, go draft a quarterback. It just takes a few drives in the
I know that.
In the 16th out of 17 games, and people are like,
I know that.
Could Stefanski stay? Whoa, Shedeur could be our starter.
That's why I'm asking the question. But I think it's way more likely that Shedeur's our starter in 2026 than Kevin's the guy coaching him. I don't think you can make decisions based on that willy-nilly. I still feel the same way. Now, winning obviously can fix a lot of things, but can you do enough winning at the end of the season? Beating Pittsburgh is a significant win because they were trying to win something. They were. So it wasn't like you were just in this first-round pick bowl against a team that was also not trying to win or whatever. But if we're always focused on the big picture, that's all this team is ever focused on. Big picture this, big picture that. It's never this, like, there are definitely people, whether you like it or not, that are in analytics or whatever, that did not like what happened yesterday, who are employed in the NFL, okay, that did not like that the Browns won yesterday. If we're always considering big picture on everything, then why am I going to, after I've said all this, why would I retain services after 2 wins? I know it's Pittsburgh and it's Cincinnati. Why would I still retain services after 2 wins?
The entire season just to feel good at the end of the year.
So what am I holding on to? To me, it's the equivalent of having a kid to save a marriage.
I think
you make a big time decision, you go into next year, and that's the most likely scenario you just played out.
And this is the lowest bar humanly possible that I'm about to state. Checklist item number 1 is they didn't quit on their coach. Okay, low bar. Like I said, it's the NFL. Why are we talking about giving up? But we do see it around the league. There are teams that have guys that have given up rounds. That wasn't the situation. Check mark number 2. Your quarterback, it does not look like a 5th rounder. Does not look like the disaster that people like me may have thought it could be. Okay, that's, again, very low bar. That doesn't mean you're going to win games next year. That just means that wasn't the case.
It was a low bar.
Number 3, did you, as a head coach, did you outcoach the other team's head coach? Towards the end of the year, a team that's supposed to be going to the playoffs. Yeah. I listened to the Steeler fans talk about Mike Tomlin, and we're not talking about Stefanski that way yesterday. True. So that's another check mark. Again, lowest possible bar because
what are you doing to me?
It's just one other coach that we're comparing him to. But that's the case. So these are very low bars that we are holding the Browns to, but you can't deny that all 3 of those are check marks yesterday.
I'll tell you this, and somebody's going to have to answer for this, and maybe it is Kevin. That's why, like, Frank's not off base.
Yeah.
Is you could go, fine, the rest of the draft's been good. We took this guy in the 3rd round. It wasn't that he was just the 3rd. Now, I had a problem with you took a guy that you admit's going to be a career backup in the 3rd round as a quarterback. You said that right off the rip. We're in a position where we need all these players. You've hit on it, like Carson Schlesinger as a starter. Had Quinshon Judkins not got hurt, he's a legitimate player. Dylan Sampson has shown flashes. I mean, you can go on for the draft class. But then I got this guy who people don't ever want to see again play for this football team. Let's call it what it is. And I'm thinking, I'm sorry, if I would have played Shedeur Sanders for so much more time, I probably wouldn't be stuck in this position. Where now I have to make either a crazy, right now would be seen as crazy move to go out and get a quarterback that maybe some people are lukewarm on at best, or give an entire season to a guy where he has looked good, and I think he's grown. But the second I say that to anybody who's looking at the numbers, they go, Ken, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, if he would have played...
It's hard to make an argument.
I wonder, had Shedeur been given more games and then just these are still the numbers, where he's still at the very bottom of all these different numbers, would that have been more conclusive for you to move on from him?
And that's what I'm saying. If this was supposed to be an evaluation year, what are we evaluating? Are we evaluating a guy who has a higher ceiling than career backup, which is Shedeur Sanders? Are we evaluating him, or are we evaluating a guy that it really is, he's going to be a backup, if that? And you took him in the 3rd round? Okay, so Andrew allowed it. You guys thought partners together. Andrew doesn't, so he only answers for the good picks now. Okay. Because he answered for the bad picks too before, but now the draft is only the good picks this year?
Yeah.
Like, you can get rid of Kevin. All right, good things or decent things come to an end. Wasn't good last year. It was good the year before. Things come to an end. I can understand that. But it doesn't mean you have a full-throated confidence in Andrew Berry going into 2026. It can't. 6-25 are now 7-25. That's still not a good record.
No.
And thank you very much for the call. But when it comes to Andrew, it's like, I'm not going to sit there and give him all the credit in the world here. There was no way he was pounding the table days before for Shedeur Sanders. Not a chance in hell. I can guarantee you that, guys, personally. But you can get yourself a great player if he becomes one, and you can be a little bit lucky even. It's perfectly fine to do it.
It is funny how rumors over the course of a season turn into fact. But like the Shedeur people are all saying the same thing he did. Wouldn't say his name but he said his name plenty. We have press conferences. He said his name, but because Emmanuel Acho, Josina Anderson, RG3, because a bunch of people with their own podcasts or their own forums that are pretty big just started stating things as fact, it became fact. And it's like we actually have plenty of times where Kevin Stefanski has said positive things about Shedeur Sanders.
Frankly,
it's just he was fourth string. He was fourth string, so he would have been talking about Joe Flacco first. He would have been talking about Kenny Pickett first. He would have been talking about the guy they drafted in the top 100 first.
It is my belief that I think Kevin knew that 4 quarterbacks was going to be a hell of a ordeal.
A stupid idea.
Like what a lot of people feel with, and couldn't believe that there were 4 quarterbacks that they had to go and work with. And so he was left with that. But again, for Andrew, like I can't have one without the other. Like, you can keep Andrew. I like them both personally. We've said this a bunch of times, but it doesn't mean I'm going to have a bunch of faith in him. You've had one really good draft. Thank God it was your last one. Or I don't know if he'd still be here. I don't think we'd be having that conversation. You've had one really good draft. The other ones, you could poke holes in all day long.